On AM Extra, local musician is doing his own pandemic pivot, trading his drumsticks for a microphone, but it's not for singing.
Yeah, Nicole DeCosta tells us how professional drummer Kevin Rankin is keeping busy these days.
Kevin Rankin of Portland marches to his own beat. The professional drummer has toured with a series of big acts, including Jennifer Batten, Anna Motion, A Flock of Seagulls, Tommy Two-Tone, New Shoes, Eddie Martinez, Mike Skill of the Romantics, and more. But when the pandemic hit, he traded live stage shows for a live podcast. This is the time of year when you're typically playing at festivals. So how are you holding up here in 2020?
I have no gigs on the horizon until 2021 at this point. And I think if it weren't for my show and having that sort of catharsis, I'd be stressed out. I'd be bummed out because it's my favorite place to be. So I'm grateful to have the time with my kids and time with people on the show to sort of distract me from the mental trauma that we have going on.
So tell us about the new podcast, which is called All Access Live with Kevin Rankin.
A lot of people don't get an opportunity to come backstage with these artists. I was already doing that when we were on tour. I was bringing my camera with me and I was shooting Facebook Live and showing my kids and everybody else, here we are at the Greek Theater backstage, check out the setup, and here's the green room, and here's something you might not see in the dressing rooms. And so it was an opportunity for me to just do that virtually through these interviews. Jennifer encouraged me. I told her, there's no way unless you do a show with me. And so we did it. And a lot of people chimed in. It was really fun. And for me, it's kind of selfish because I miss these people. And so when I started doing them, I started reaching out to my buddies that we were touring with. And now we're 102 shows in about 4 months. I've done them almost every day. And I don't see any stop. Honestly, there's no end to it because I've got a ton of guests through October. And there's always really interesting people to talk about.
That's so cool, Jennifer Batten. I knew it. I knew there had to be some fun Portland angle. That's so cool. So you've already done over 100 shows. Did you have any idea this was going to take on such a life?
My intention was just to kind of bring everybody into the fold on Facebook. And then the more that we started doing, I realized, there's an audience outside of Facebook that would really get into these interviews with people like Wang Chung and Cutting Crew. And I have all these connections with people from the MTV era, right? So all these MTV VJs started coming on. And at that point, I realized there's really no end to it because I try to stay in touch with local artists. I try to stay in touch with contemporary artists, musical, artists, but also visionaries, people that are authors or therapists or painters and sculptors. And so I really feel like, as you know, everybody's got a story and people right now need to have a voice. Some of it's been really emotional, but for the most part, it's been positive and really exciting to kind of talk about at least what they're focusing on to change gears.
So what's kind of the different ways we can watch the show?
Well, the live versions always for sure you can find on my YouTube channel. So if you go to www.youtube.com/allaccesslive with Kevin Rankin, you can see everything there. I hope that people subscribe there because if they do, they get notifications that a show's coming out. They can also go to my website at accesskevin.com and all of the archives are there. Right now, all 102 shows are there and it'll keep growing every day.
Do you have any advice for others in the creative field that want to, take advantage of this slower time in the pandemic and have that good attitude?
I try to start the morning with a gratitude list, things that I'm really grateful to have in my possession and not just in my possession, but within my reach. And then there's a ton of stuff that's just out of my control. So I don't want to focus on any of that. So I just put my eye on the prize, I make lists, and usually having my show as part of that day's schedule, I know that I can have a great time with that. And so if I have an hour or an hour and a half that I know is going to be a really positive part of my day, then it really helps me start everything off with a good attitude.
Thanks so much, Kevin. To listen to All Access Live with Kevin Rankin, visit accesskevin.com. And for KOIN News AM Extra, I'm Nicole DeCosta.